This video is sponsored by Card Kingdom. You can visit their store by using my referral link in the description below. Alright, this is a pretty strong opening pack. Bloated Contaminator is amazing. I mean, it's just like way above rate, and it does all kinds of it's just huge. And basically has Toxic Tube with way more upside. Drown in Ichor is like an incredible removal spell. And then you got Charforger, one of the better signposts, although I don't think the color pair it's in is as potent as some of the others. I do think it's on its own, like a better signpost uncommon than a lot of them are. But yeah, it's really between those three cards. Annihilating Glare is fine. You know, it gets better. I've had decks where it works okay, others where it's pretty bad, but I think we just go Contaminator in the end. I mean, Drown in Ichor is good and all, but I think just like a big, and obviously Drown in Ichor wins in a fight here, but I think a huge toxic creature is a good way to start your draft. So that's what we're going to do. That is what we're going to do. All right, so interesting pick here too. Incubation Sac is great. It's one of the cards that can make you actually have a decent, mid to late game. Ossification is a great removal spell, and then, of course, Crawling Chorus is one of the best commons. I do think I would take Ossification and Sack both over Crawling Chorus. It's basically, again, like removal versus really good card. And, this ends up being a 3-for-1. This is only ever going to be a 1-for-1. It's a great removal spell and all, but I think I'd probably take the Sack. We're going to need some interaction, but I like starting the draft with Bloated Contaminator and the Incubation Sac. All right, now we have a shot at another Incubation Sac. We also have the Green-White Signpost, which is incredibly strong, and Hexgold Slash. Basically, all of these packs have been very strong. So it's pretty interesting to see that. Urbrask's Anointer's good, but it's sort of the card that I take after it looks like I'm going to be in an oil deck, as opposed to taking it and hoping I end up in an oil deck. So Signpost is great. It makes green-white aggro decks really good. Hexgold Slash, great removal spell. I think it might just be better than Volt Charge. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out in the end, but it's just so good and efficient. And then, like I said, another Incubation Sac. So it's between these three, really. I kind of want to take another Incubation Sac, honestly, and just sort of stay green and see what happens here. Okay, so bunch of good white cards here still around. We do have a good green card in Lattice Blade Mantis, which I think is pretty good, but I don't think it's as good as Crawling Chorus or Duelist of Deep Faith. Porcelain Zealot needs a little more work to actually be really good. Like, you have to be in the Infect deck generally. And there's a decent shot we end up there, I guess. But I think we'll take the Chorus here. 1 mana, 1/1 that replaces itself, has Toxic 1, like it has played really well. Alright, interesting. So we've seen a lot of packs with lots of stuff we liked, and then there's this one where pretty much the only card I want to take is Lattice Blade Mantis. I do like Axiom Engraver and Kuldotha Cackler, but they're kind of synergy picks more than the Mantis, which is just like good in all the green decks. It's obviously better if you're in a deck that can abuse oil and stuff, but yeah. Mostly staying one color has been pretty easy. We've taken a bunch of powerful cards, but now it's kind of starting to look a little bit sketchier. This is good if you can get your Corrupted going. I don't think the Mantis has really overperformed. I mean, not for me. I gave it a C+, and I think that's how it's panned out. Like, it's a nice common. Annihilating Glare, again, I mean, we could take it. Could just take a green card to cut green, and it isn't like you don't play this trick in this format. I mean, it's fine. And yeah, I guess that's where we're going to go. Like, this pack is just super underwhelming overall. First few packs were insane. Okay, so we get an Urbrask's Anointer back, and we've already got 2 Incubation Sacs and a Lattice Blade Mantis. I should probably take it. At this point, it feels like oil's open enough. The red-green deck's open enough that I'm going to go that route. You know, just being able to do 2 with it consistently is usually enough. Now, this is a card, Hazardous Blast. Over like the past week, I have played it more and more and been happier and happier with it in basically all the red decks. Like in the red-green deck, it's not that hard for you to do like 10 plus damage in one swing if your opponent can't block. And then in the poison decks, which I guess red's not a super poisony color, but I've had infect decks where casting Hazardous Blast really works out well. Free from Flesh is a nice trick as well, but I think I'm going to take my first copy of Hazardous Blast. Like, I pretty much always want it. All right, Barb Batterfist, great 2-drop. Doesn't have any special synergy, but, you know. Yeah, the only downside about the Mantis is that it does die to lots of cheap removal, and that hurts sometimes. I mean, I guess it getting Volt Charge isn't the end of the world. You lose, you know, your opponent pays 1 less mana than you, but it doesn't feel awesome. But I do like it. I mean, you know, I'm pretty happy to play it. All right, Cacophony Scamp is fine. It does enough little things that I think it's what we take here. Looks to me like we're shifting into red-green based on the Anointer wheeling. And yeah, we'll take a Titanic Growth here. Although, I probably should have just taken something else, because I'm not going to play 2 Titanic Growths, I don't think. I mean, ideally I wouldn't play any, and I would just play the 1 red mana, 2 oil counter trick. But, doesn't look like... We did see one of those, but there were better things around, so... So yeah, this is a format where you gotta play lots of 1s and 2s. Oh, there it is. So yeah, that's automatically like way better than Titanic Growth in this deck, just because you get so much value out of oil counters. Right now, we're not doing like amazing on oil counters, but I think we'll do okay. I do think this deck right now feels a little more mid-rangey than aggressive, and that can happen. I mean, you'd have to play early drops, but sometimes this deck's big game is in playing like the Lattice Blade Mantis and the 5-mana 4/5 that can remove oil counters for haste. Like, that's like the big thing you want to do. Ideally, I would get some of the Mana Dork, either the common or uncommon ones, to ramp into these things earlier. But yeah. Well, we did not get a good rare in Staff of Completion. However, we got the Signpost Uncommon that slides right into this deck, and it's pretty hard to pass when you had a pretty good first pack for the red-green deck, and I think it is what we take. Hexgold Halberd is a great 2-drop. This is what I was talking about a minute ago. Furnace Strider. Like, you want like 2 of these in a lot of this deck. You know, this format's fast, but that doesn't mean you don't play these, like this 4-drop and 5-drop that are super efficient. They're really what makes it so this deck can, you know, beat the smaller creature decks in the format. Of course, Cinder/Slash Ravager helps there too. So, yeah, we'll take a Ravager here. Ooh, man. Okay, well, I do love both of these. They're both early oil creatures, but I think the adaptive is just better. It just keeps growing. It can win the game all on its own sometimes, which is awesome. I wouldn't mind the Fusling Wheeling, and it might because nobody else really wants it but this deck. I guess, you know, if you end up in blue-red or something, it can be good, but wouldn't hate the Cackler Wheeling either, but we definitely take the adaptive. Yeah, the land Wheeling would work for me too, yeah. I mean, those would all be nice things. Okay, so probably the Vorak. You know, it can proliferate sometimes. Most of the time you just draw a card with it, but the proliferate upside is nice. So yeah. We will take it. All right, here's an Oil Gorger Troll. How are we doing on low drops? Not super amazing. I mean, Incubation Sac isn't really a low drop. So I do feel like I kind of need to take the Batterfist, but I guess the Scamp may wheel. The reason I'm saying all this is because I like Oil Gorger Troll a lot. But it's kind of... It seems more important right now that I just grab like a low drop. And this is a good one. I mean, I've liked the Batterfist enough that I think we just take it here. Here's another one, of course. But we're actually going to take the removal this time in Ruthless Predation. would have stunk if the only card in that pack was another Barbatter Fist, just because then I would have definitely taken the more expensive card. But yeah, we need some top curve, like the Oil Gorger Troll and the 4/5 Haste guy. Like, we need those things to feel great, but I think we're doing pretty well. Ideally, I'm not going to play Titanic Growth because I'll get better tricks, either Free from Fleshes or the Tyvar's Stand. Like, those two are both quite nice. Ooh, so this is a night. Picking up Armored Scrap Gorger here is big. Like, this still being here, it is very good. Its ability to ramp you into your bigger things, you know, like a turn 3 Lattice Blade Mantis feels pretty sweet. And the fact that it gets bigger on its own, it likes oil counters, it gets oil counters, like, yeah. Feels like the oil deck is very open, which I haven't seen a lot of over, like, the last week. People have been a lot more in on it, but in this draft, we're getting a lot of good red-green stuff, which is good. Which is good. I'm sure one of those red-green cards from earlier is going to wheel, so... Yeah, Free from Flesh on Evolving Adaptive is insane, for example. Gives +4/+4 until end of turn and a permanent +2/+2. The Scrap Gorger can get big out of nowhere from it. You know, if your opponent ever attacks you with a Scrap Gorger and it's just a 0/3, you probably shouldn't block. But yeah. Yeah, this pack doesn't have much. I guess I'll grab a Gleeful Demolition. I mean, we've already got one Titanic Growth, and if we don't pick up better tricks, we'll probably play it. But we'll take the Demolition. I kind of doubt we play it, but, you know. I'd probably go Molten Rebuke here. I don't hate it. You know, as far as, like, a clunky common 5-mana removal spell goes, it's all right. So we'll take it here. It's been interesting. Early in the packs, it has seemed... Maybe these packs have just had a lot of really good red-green cards, because both times, the first several picks in each pack, we were just getting amazing cards. And then things kind of leveled out in the later picks, where we were like, don't really like any of this stuff, but okay. I will take it. All right, so here's a Furnace Strider. We wanted one of those, so that works for me. All right, so did the Cackler. I think we'd probably take it over the Hunter Maze. Like, it's looking pretty good in this deck. Probably not going to end up playing Gleeful Demolition. It's a nice card to have as a sideboard card if you play best of 3, but in best of 1, it's kind of useless. We'll just grab a Prism. I doubt we want to play it, but, you know. This is the first time I've ended up in red-green, I feel like, in a while. Like I said, it just hasn't been very open, but I think it has been here. All right, so I think I like the Troll more than Forge Hammer. This oftentimes, I mean, it's harder to get going than most of the oil things. And I like the Troll. I like having kind of like one Furnace Strider, one Troll in this deck. Maybe some, you know, picking up one more of one of those would be good. So it always hurts when you open up an incredibly good card and, like, sure, we could play Prophetic Prism and try to make Glissa Sunseeker work, but I don't love that. That said, this pack isn't amazing, and I guess if we picked up enough fixing, I would probably try to play Glissa. We do have one Prism, and we do have an Armored Scrap Gorger. So what I would take out of this pack otherwise is just Predation Steward, which is fine, but yeah, I think we do take Glissa. If this pack had a really good common or uncommon in it for us, I think I'd take it over her, but it doesn't. So we'll just take her. The opportunity cost of doing so is very low there. Wow, this pack is also kind of a dud. I don't hate the Seed Core, but I don't love it either. Especially in our deck, it doesn't do much. Yeah, this pack just is not good. Don't like Copper Longlegs at all, really. I'd probably take the Seed Core. Yeah, it is fixing for Glissa. I don't know how much I want to rely on it as fixing for Glissa. All right, happy to take a Ravager here. You know, I would like some more early oil counters. We're doing okay on them, but I think we could be doing better. But we will take another Cinder Slash Ravager here pretty happily. Yeah, she is Phyrexian. Almost everything in the format is. I think there are like 6 or 7 creatures that aren't. I don't think we have any of them either. They are in red and white, I think. I mean, the tokens aren't, but obviously that doesn't matter for the seed core. Okay. So lots of good reds. I mean, I like the Punisher. We already have a Mantis. Cackler's fine. Do I want another Mantis? It says any color for creatures you control anyway. Not being able to tap for a colored mana for spells does matter. So, this is, I think... I'm kind of thinking I go Mantis again here. Yeah. I think we're kind of done with the top of our curve after that Mantis pick, but I think I wanted to pick that one up. Crescendo, I guess, is what I'm going to pick up here. It's a nice trick too, but not one... Like, I'd much rather just have Free from Flesh, as I keep saying. Would I play it over Titanic Growth? Maybe. Maybe I would. Well, that's a nice Infectious Bite, I think. Yeah, happy to take that. Obviously, we don't really care about the poison counter, but we like removal. We don't have any of the good red removal, basically, in our deck. You know, Molten Rebuke. We have a couple of fight spells, but that's plenty. Like, the creatures in this deck are big enough that they can do some work. Yeah, I mean, Thirsting Roots kind of fixes for us, but it's inefficient enough at it that I've not loved it. I do like Charforger, but I think splashing Glissa is already kind of a challenge. I mean, I'm going to take the roots, but, yeah. Well, there's a Chimney Rabble here. I mean, do we have enough 4s? Maybe we do. I guess it's what I'm going to take, though, because I ran out of time. All right, we'll take an Autonomous Furnace. It wasn't a super consequential pick, but... All right, we will take a Predation Steward now. I mean, a 2-drop that comes into play with oil on it has... We have reasons to play that, so... yeah. Well, there's another Oil Gorger and another Predation Steward. I don't think we really need any more top curve, so I think I can just grab another Predation Steward to set up our, you know, Urabrask's Anointers and Cinder Slash Ravagers in particular. So yeah, I'm going to have to... I only got one Free from Flesh, which makes me a little sad. It's like the dream trick for this deck, but... That means we'll be playing either a Crescendo or a Growth. Another Growth. Don't think I'm going to end up being able to splash Glissa in the end either. I didn't pick up, like, even just picking up, like, the 1-mana 1/2 that taps for oil counters and then can untap lands, like, that would have been nice, but, yeah. Do I play Glissa? I didn't even pick up a Terramorphic Expanse, so we're entirely reliant on either drawing a Swamp or a Prophetic Prism or keeping a Scrap Gorger in play, and I think that's a little too difficult to accomplish. Yeah. So, I am probably playing one more trick than this, and I think I'll probably play Crescendo, which has a lot more upside than Titanic Growth. Then we need to cut some stuff, though. I do generally like having Hazardous Blast. I wonder if I need Molten Rebuke in the end. I mean, it's not a card I love, and we ended up with Ruthless Predation and Infectious Bite, which isn't, like, a ton, but... yeah. It's a tricky one to trim. Chimney Rabble doesn't really do anything, like, oil counter-wise, and we're certainly interested in doing things with oil counters, but it's just been such a good rate, but it may just be... Like, this is a fairly synergistic red-green deck. Sometimes it's just, like, a beatdown deck, but with 2 Ravagers, an Oil Gorger Troll, and an Urabrask's Anointer, I sort of feel like we want to lean more into the synergy where we can, especially on our higher drops. Like, yeah, so I think we'd probably cut Chimney, Rabble, maybe Rebuke. Yeah, we could consider cutting a Mantis, but it comes into play with oil counters. We can ramp into it on turn 3 if we get a turn 2 Scrap Gorger, and that's spicy. Yeah, I mean, we could consider just running one trick. Like, our creatures are big enough. Maybe we're not that into tricks, and I guess that's probably not a terrible idea. Batterfist doesn't really do anything with our deck, but we don't have that many 2-drops, and we kind of need them. So I think we end up having to run both. So I'm kind of looking at Molten Rebuke and Hazardous Blast. I kind of feel like I'm just going to run the Blast. Like, it sort of does the same thing as the Rebuke late in that it just allows us to force through a bunch of damage. So, yeah, I think that's where we'll go. Looks good. You know, the Scamp's not super exciting. I could consider cutting it. We can do a few silly things with it, of course. But, yeah, I think we leave it in the end. You know, hating on X1s is a good thing to do in the format. There we go. So I was muted for all that. What I said was this is a pretty good hand. It's a little bit of a bummer we don't have the Anointer oil to go with the Anointer right away, but we have a 2-drop, and you can't be, and both are colors, so I can't be too upset about it. Of course, we're going to draw all the oil counter payoffs and no early oil counters. That can happen when you draw your cards in the wrong order, but the good news is, like, these cards are okay anyway, so. Okay. I sort of doubt they're going to block. And I don't know if I care that much if they do. I probably do because, especially if we whiff on another land, not being able to play a creature that I can fight with would stink, but I think we still attack. Yeah. So I can still kill this thing if I really want to. I don't think I do right now, though. Let's wait and see what happens. Blue-black's a cool deck. It's probably my favorite when it actually comes together. Oh, that is annoying. I'm going to really need to draw a land here or we're in trouble. But yeah, when you can get like the proliferate engine going and get value out of proliferating, it's pretty great. I guess I'm going to go ahead and kill the edifice. Yeah. It hits harder. And if I fail here to draw a 4th land and draw something else I can't play, things would be really bad. Luckily, we do draw a 4th land, so maybe we can play our Ravager next turn. We can play the Anointer and do 1 to something next turn, if that happens. We may also just play Furnace Strider, depending on what our opponent does. So they do have one of the big proliferate payoffs. That does not line up super well against us, is the good news. Especially if I draw a 5th land, I can just play it, attack with everything, and yeah, but we don't. So it still doesn't line up very well against us, is the good news. I don't imagine they're going to block it all here. It's kind of hard for them to. I'm trying to decide if it's worth playing Urabrask's Anointer here just to ping them for 1. And it really might be, especially because it attacks reasonably well on this board. Like, not adding to the board here is pretty brutal, so I kind of think I have to do it. I'm not going to have 3 oil counters anytime soon, so we're just going to do that. It is always a bummer to like play this and barely do anything with the ETB, but still add a pretty real body to the board. And hey, you know, we did 1 damage. They proliferate, they do get to drain 2, which is less than stellar for us. But yeah. This is a situation where just drawing Hazardous Blast can win us the game. There's lots of those in this deck, and that's why I like running one of them. Okay, so they're gonna reanimate and proliferate here. -1 doesn't really do anything, is the good news. But the bad news is they do drain 2. And that does do something. Alright, we do hit a 5th land here. The question is, what do we do with it? I mean, I think the answer is just play Furnace Strider, give this haste, attack with everything. Yeah. I think that's the answer. I don't think Ravager is worth playing here, really. And I could still play it next turn, even if I use up the oil counter on the Mantis. So I think we just play the Strider. We can give it the Ravager haste next turn, too, potentially, so... And we will remove an oil counter. You have to do some blocking one way or another. Yeah, going to 2 works for me, I think. If they hadn't gained that 2, they'd be in real trouble, but they did, so... Good, that doesn't proliferate. I'm happy about that. We can also just kill it with the Ravager trigger. They do have an Immobilizer, and those 2 things... Now, they still need 1 more counter. So the Immobilizer does make things a little harder for us, but I think we're still in great shape, really. Yeah. So we play Cinder/Ravager, which will kill the Malcator's Watcher. They do get to draw the card, but then we're going to attack with 3 things. Well, it'll only be 2 things, but they'll have to block both of them. So it's not like they'll be in good shape here. Drawing the card helps them a little bit. But yeah, so haste on the Ravager. They're going to tap something. Probably the Ravager, I guess. But then they have to block both other creatures. All right. All right, well, they still have another turn, but they have to tap something, and they have 2 ugly blocks to go with it, so... I guess I'm going to play Oil Gorger Troll here, because maybe I'll draw something that allows me to push through lethal. We actually don't have oil counters, so... I'm actually not going to do that. Certainly not in my pre-combat main phase. Does putting the Batter Fist on anything help? Not really. Trying to decide if it makes anything a better attacker. I mean, they can only do 3 damage anyway, so I guess sticking it on Furnace Strider is fine. We don't really want to put it on the Mantis, because then they can just single block it to kill it. Of course, they're not really in a situation where any of that matters, so... I'm doing all this math for no reason. So, because, yeah, we just attack here. They tap a thing. They have to block Ugly with 2 creatures not to die. Then we'll play the Troll. I mean, we're not going to draw off of it, but it gives us an additional body that they have to do something about, so... Yeah, so they do block to kill something here, which is interesting. And then we'll play the Troll. Just in case they play something that makes multiple bodies here or something. This kind of went the way red-green decks sort of do, like... Well, draw some cards. Where you just sort of outstat everything by the later part of the game, and it's just like... Yeah, I can't survive. You know, so... We had kind of a mediocre start, but it ended up all Working out in the end. Our creatures were just too big and efficient against all those little things that need time to actually become relevant. All right, I mean, not having green is annoying, but I think, and we also don't have any early oil, and we have 2 Ravagers, but we can play a few of the things in our hand already. I don't think it's really one we can mulligan. You know, we have a good 1-drop and a good 2-drop. I mean, we may just curve out here and be in great shape. So yeah, the Praetors being in this set has been pretty interesting. Nice. Drawing green there helps a lot. Means that we'll be able to play a larger percentage of things that we draw. That's always good. We are not sacrificing it to proliferate. Play a Batter Fist. You know, funny, there's a lot of little combos you can do with the Scamp that allow you to do direct damage out of nowhere or turn it into a removal spell, and one of them is equipping it with Batter Fist. It's basically shock, so they are going to kill that. There are definitely situations where you're like, yeah, I'm just going to equip my Cacophony Scamp and shock your creature. We may or may not be in one of those. You know, we're not really. Incubation Sac. You show up now, huh? I mean, I guess I probably would have still played the Scamp on turn 1, but trying to decide if it's worth an attack here. I could also just play the Sack and pass. But playing the Sack also sets up Ravager and stuff a little earlier, but I can do it next turn and still get similar value. I'm trying to decide if I want to attack with my Scamp here. I mean, if they block, I do 1 to them. And that's not terrible. We still kill their creature. You know, them getting, given their color pair, them getting to the threshold for Corrupted is like their whole thing. So I'm okay with it. I'm also okay with them just taking the damage. Then we'll play our Cackler. Next turn we can play the Sack, and the Cackler can attack for as a 3. Maybe they play something we shock with our Cacophony Scamp. Who knows? Yeah, that's not really something I want to shock. It's not the worst, I guess. Because the thing it makes can't block, then I can attack. Yeah, that's not bad. The bad news is I do open myself up to some Toxic, but if I draw my 5th land, I'll be able to wipe the Dune Mover and the Might off of the board. So yeah, I think we do this. We are going to get a little poisoned here, and they'll only be 1 away from setting up, like, I guess I should have equipped the Batter Fist for 1 more damage there. The bad news is it would be more wide open to removal, but I do need to draw a land here to be really happy, but even if we don't, we get to make a 3/3. So yeah, do I just want to make a 3/3? The Vorak does make it so I'm likely to draw the land, which is really great on this board. So I kind of think we play the Vorak. Doesn't really matter what I get here. Yep, we definitely don't equip because the Vorak can block here, and I think I probably, I am at 3 poison, which I don't love, but Right now we're at 4. So, I definitely think we attack with the Vorak here. Yeah. Let's attack with the Vorak. Then we'll play the Ravager, which will sweep these 2 away and give us a huge body. And end our turn. Well, that has no downside right now. There's the Hazardous Blast. We can only do 9, but this does show you how silly the blast can be. Because it's just like, well, we can almost kill them. Just from top decking it. So I think we equip Cinder Slash here. I think I attack with it. If they want to trade the Necro Titan, that's fine. I think they do. Interesting. So, I mean, yeah, we try to kill the Necro Titan here. They may have a trick, I guess, and that's their whole plan. Yeah, I think they do. Ooh, that is pretty potent. That is not great for us. We do still get to kill the Necro Titan, so I guess it could be worse, but... Ooh, another one. So, this time I don't think we attack. I think we probably wait things out for the Lethal Hazardous Blast. Yeah, now we definitely do, I think. We'll just do this. And pass the turn. Interesting. Do they have the board wipe? They might. That would be very bad news for us. We still take 6. I mean... We have to hope they don't have it? Okay, well that's interesting to me. The way things played out here. I wonder what it means. Nice Mark Twain quote, Nougat Bar. Ah! Are we dead on the backswing? No, not quite. But, that's not awesome for us. I knew they had something. I kind of didn't think it would be... Yeah, it wasn't enough in the end. But things got a little sketchy there. After that removal spell, but... We haven't gotten to play our Bloated Contaminator yet. Where's that guy at? Yeah, they had a couple really good plays there late that turned a game where we were, like, dominating into one where we sort of squeaked out the win in the end. Got a little scared they had a board wipe there, too, because they were like, yeah, I'm just going to attack with my Necro Titan. And I'm like, really? It's a weird situation to attack with your Necro Titan, but okay. But it was the right move for them, I think. Ooh, this is a nice hand. Especially if we can draw, well, we don't really need to draw anything. So, I think we play Cacophony Scamp on turn 1. We're more likely to, like, you know, do damage with it and stuff. And then we could play Sack on turn 2. You know, it doesn't really matter when we play it as much. As the Scamp does. Do you have a Crawling Chorus? You do, which is miserable for Cacophony Scamp. Alright, well... Let's play an Incubation Sack here. I think we attack. I mean, it's not a terrible block. I get to... Yeah, I mean... I can attack and sack this and proliferate, which is pretty sweet, and kill the chorus, but then they still have a 1-1. Like, it's always kind of crappy, but I think we attack. Okay, they block. I think that works for me. I could just kill their token, right? No, because of the way things stack. So we'll just do 1 to them. I still think it's fine, but... yeah, Crawling Chorus does make a lot of 1-drops in this set either worse or better than they would otherwise be. Like the 1-mana 1-2, every 1-mana 1-2 is better because of Crawling Chorus, and everything that has like 1 toughness is worse because of Crawling Chorus. Okay, pretty good. So get to play our Contaminator here. See if they have removal for it. They may, but just playing the Anointer next turn is pretty good. As is just making a creature. I kind of think we have to take the hit here. There's too many tricks. Like, you just can't block in a lot of situations in this format. And this is one of them because, you know, there's like 3 tricks that blow us out. And we're tapped out and they have all their mana. So, can't really be blocking here. Ooh, they're going to blow up my incubation sac maybe at some point. Yep. That's an okay trade. I mean, they paid 3 in the end. We get to play an Anointer here, kill the Dune Mover, and then attack. I could also just play Lattice Blade Mantis and attack. That might just be better. This sets up 2 damage. Yeah. I still get to proliferate. Sure, yeah. Let's play Lattice Blade. They take 4, which means they get 2 poison counters. This deck's not really going to win by poison, but, you know, whatever. Oh, yeah, you're right. I don't have oil anymore, so that would have been bad. If I'd gone the Anointer route, it would have been very bad. So we definitely did the right thing. I think it's safe to say. That's annoying. So, they have lots of ways here to kill my stuff. Now that they have their own Lattice Blade Mantis. I think we kind of have to play... I think I'm going to leave red up to bluff the trick that we do have, but we don't have it in our hand. So yeah, I think we play Anointer here. Kill Dune Mover. And then attack with both of these. I'm guessing they block well, maybe they don't. Maybe they just take 9. It is a situation where we would blow them out with our trick, but it's also almost a situation where if you don't kill the Contaminator now, like, when are you going to do it? So... yeah, I think they're choosing to block. It's unfortunate we don't have the trick to utterly blow them out, but... doing some damage. Okay, they let us do the damage. They decided to take it. We have a lot of damage on our side of the table. I feel like they must have removal, or they wouldn't have chosen the route. I think they're about to fight one of our creatures. Yeah. They do fight one of our creatures. Yeah, that's why they couldn't block. I mean, they know they could have gotten blown out, and also they had a fight spell that only worked, probably, if they had Lattice Blade Mantis in play. Alright, so I guess we attack again. We are kind of running out of gas, which I don't love, but I think it's still a pretty good attack. Alright, they go to 2. I like that. I would like to stop drawing lands now. Yeah, the thrill of combat tricks is kind of thrilling, but it also... I don't know. I mean, this format's not quite like Amonkhet or something, where everything attacks well and blocking is almost impossible, but it's not that far off. Okay, well, we definitely attack here. They'll trade the Vorak, but we can just start cranking out 3/3s. So, I think we're okay with it. We hold on to the land. This is an interesting attack here, because I could choose to block to avoid getting to Corrupted, but they're not in black, so I'm not that alarmed by Corrupted. Well, now we definitely don't block. That's pretty easy. So, there's a few tricks that are problematic, but not really enough of them. So, do you block here and use a trick? So they could have the +2/+1 instant trick thing. They don't, though. Try to decide if I want to play the Cackler 2. 3, 4... So they could have, like, the Wanderer, but even if they do, like, we hold on to a better creature than they do. And they're not at the mana yet. Well, actually, they would be at the mana now for the board wipe to work, but I still have one counter on my incubation sac. So I think we just play out 3 things that are lethal and see if they can stop it. Yeah, drawing the incubation sac was pretty great when we were sort of out of gas. It really makes sure that that's not a problem. When you draw it at that stage, it's just like, okay, well, I have a creature every turn for the next 3 turns. I wonder what they have that they're not just dead here, but they must have something. Maybe. Maybe they're just playing things out. I don't know. They only have 1 creature that can actually block. Yeah, they can get lifelink here, but that's not enough. So yeah, that is game, officially. Because gaining 1 life is the best they can do, and that doesn't do enough, because everything I have will attack for 3, and they only have 2 blockers. So, yeah. Go with Death Touch. Just hoping I accidentally block or something. Got there. Yep, I've seen the Wanderer several times. I had her in the early access event, which was fun. We sort of did the bad thing of throwing away the rest of our deck in like a pack. I think you just pack 2, pick 1, and just like took her and forced her. And I've had her one other time, and I've seen her a couple of times, and I think every time she's been played, the person who played her won, which is not too surprising. Yeah, the deck's doing pretty well so far. Hopefully it keeps it up. I mean, we just have a good curve and some oil synergy. And that's... The creatures are just so big in red-green in this format. The 4 and 5 drops that... And in our case, we have a bloated Contaminator, too. So we have a 3-drop that's huge. That it does some work. This hand is... Ooh... We do have an Armored Scrap Gorger, which makes it look better than it does. And we're on the draw. I think we keep it and hope either we draw a mountain or they can't kill our Armored Scrap Gorger. Alright, might be a mirror match. So the Vorak will help us find a mountain if necessary. We find one anyway. Let's find out if our Scrap Gorger gets to live. Kind of doesn't look that way. Yeah. Luckily, we drew a land, so we're not in the worst situation, but yeah. So they're black-green, sort of a grindy proliferate deck. Not a deck I've been super impressed with on average, but it can certainly work. Do I want... Yeah, I think we play the Vorak and draw a land. I mean, I could play the Cackler, but... I mean, I'm not desperate to draw a land, but I'll definitely draw one. Man, Contaminator and Hazardous Blast, huh? The Furnace is kind of interesting, but we should probably just take an untapped land. I mean, you know. So now they can just crank out a 3/3 every turn like we've been doing, and it's pretty gross when all I have is a 3/3. Yeah. So this is a hand where we drew our oil synergy, but not any oil, which is... not awesome. Just playing Oil Gorger Troll is not bad on this board. I mean, we're not going to draw, but it is a 3/4. So if I don't draw something that has an oil counter on it, I probably go that route. Like a 3/4 that gains 3 is surprisingly decent here. But our opponent having the incubation sac here is not great. You know, like trading for these golems is not really what you want to be doing. But you kind of end up in situations where you have to. More often than I would like. Yeah, they're getting the cards we wish we had. We didn't get this card at all, which is kind of a bummer. I do think we attack with the Vorak here. It's actually a pretty good attack, because I would be happy to trade for things. I mean, they're going to attack us really hard. It's funny their deck has black in it, because it mostly feels like our deck, but... like, in terms of the green cards. I can't imagine you trade your Mantis here. Yeah, I would be very surprised by that. They have a lot of mana and a better board. Yeah, Tyrannak's Atrocity is pretty annoying. I think we probably double block it and take 8. That's fun. They may have like Titanic Growth here, which would suck, or Tyvar's what's a who's it? Yeah, they've got something. The Death Touch Indestructible trick? No, it's Titanic Growth. Yeah. That's a blowout. There was like no way for us to win this game, basically. What we drew and what they drew. Like, I mean, we still have a chance, I guess, because we do play a big body here that can at least cause problems, especially if they whiff on a bunch of draws here. But they still have an incubation sac in play, so, you know. And it doesn't feel like they whiffed. It feels like they drew a fight spell, which is brutal. Okay, I guess they did whiff. I'll take it, and we'll take 5 here. Feels good. And make another golem. Oof. Yeah, we have to play out another body. It is a body that can trade with Lattice Blade Mantis and stuff. I mean, it could be worse. But obviously... feels like they're mostly like a mono green deck, splashing black for removal or something. Okay. Well, that's game, right? Yeah. We lose. Yep, variance is part of the game. I mean... it's always brutal when you lose to cards that you have in your deck. Like, that's the worst feeling with variants, where, like, the Incubation Sac and Lattice Blade Mantis are a big part of what beat us in that game, and we have 2 of both, and we couldn't get them, so. Yeah, I mean, I like the hand. We haven't been able to draw our 2-mana 2/2 that comes into play with 2 oil counters on it at all. I don't think we've had it at any stage of the game, much less on turn 2. But, you know, this is still a good hand. Well, now we have that, which means... I kind of think we still play the Batter Fist. I was considering playing the Scrap Gorger, but it doesn't actually ramp us into anything here. Like, we're just going to play Bloated Contaminator next turn. I mean, I could still play the Scrap Gorger to get it going, but with no cards in the graveyard, it also isn't going to get oil counters. And it's not likely that there's going to be a random card in the graveyard unless I play something first anyway. So whether it's them using a removal spell or whatever, you know. This does make... Red does make this sad because they could have Hex Gold Slash, which is pretty good against Bloated Contaminator. Makes my rare very sad. Common that just dominates it. But that's the game for you. So we'll attack here. They're going to trade. I kind of think we just play the Contaminator and say, can you do something about this? And they might be able to. That's not doing something about it, though. Hey, there's the Predation Steward. Alright, so we definitely attack here. Kind of think we suit it up first. I guess it dies to Volt Charge if I do that. Yeah, that's probably enough of a reason not to do it. Ooh, I probably should have played a thing first. Well, especially if I was going to play something with oil counters. I do think we play Scrap Gorger here because it's going to start building the advantage we want now. Like, now it's going to get oil counters, which will power our Ravager and stuff. Okay. So they can double block, but if I... No, that's not quite going to do it either. Interesting. So if I tap Armored Scrap Gorger for mana here, I can play the Ravager, like in the second main phase, and then kill both. But not if I equip the Batter Fist first. That doesn't actually work out. I don't have enough mana to do it. It's probably still what I do here. I mean, I think that ends up working out pretty well for us overall. Yeah. Yeah, maybe the Vorak was just a better play because... Because then it's something else that can attack here. Wonder if they just take this. I'd be pretty happy if they did. They may have Hex Gold Slash. So they may set up a double block and hope I try to use a trick, which could happen. No, yeah, they're going to double block. Wish there was a way to do two to each of them instead, but obviously there's not. Alright, so Scrap Gorger. Banding. Do that. Gives us an oil counter. We're just going to play our biggest creature. Okay. Well, I think playing Vorak, hitting a land, and trying to play something else is probably what we're going to do here, but I think we attack first. See what they got. Hopefully nothing, and they just take 5, yeah. So yeah, we'll play Vorak here. We will grab a forest. Play a forest. Play Kuldotha Cackler. Exile their Kuldotha Cackler. So next turn, this can attack as a 3/3, effectively. And this can attack probably as at least a 4/3, because we'll play a Predation Steward in our first main phase. I do have to exile my own thing, but I don't think we care too much about that. Having to tap your Mere Convert here and pay 2, I wouldn't be too upset about that. It depends what they play, but we have a nice enough board state and they're at low enough life that it's like, okay, well, that's annoying, but it's still kind of okay. Like, we have 3 good attacks here. Oh yeah, it's really okay, actually. So we go Predation Steward. Predation Steward. Attack with all 3. This gets to oil counter no matter how it taps, so. And get rid of their Molten Rebuke. So, no good blocks at all, and they go very low on life. To 1, to be exact. We are out of gas, but they've got 1 body. So I feel pretty good. Yeah, we got there. Furnace Strider or not. Yeah, a cheap... There's not even really a rare cheap sweeper in this format. They're all expensive, right? There probably should have been one that, you know, could have helped, but... Do not love this hand. Is it a mulligan on the draw? It might be. I mean, we do have a 2-drop, but... Yeah, I think it's a mulligan. I think including Hazardous Blast in this format was kind of a mistake. Because, you know, a lot of these decks end up in situations where they're like, well, if I can swing 1 more time, I would win. And it just makes those decks even better. All right, this hand is definitely better. We don't have an early drop that actually adds to the board. I do think we get rid of Free from Flesh. It's definitely less good if you're on the draw anyway, and we don't have an early creature to really leverage it anyway either, so... Uh-oh. We haven't seen our Evolving Adaptive. Turn 1 Evolving Adaptive is bad news, guys. Bad news. Okay, it's not gonna grow, so that part's good. Could be worse. And we may be able to kill it next turn. Let's find out, I guess. Oh yeah, we did get it once at the very end of the game. You're right. And it did sort of matter, because it gave me another lethal threat. All right, now it's a 2/2. I can still kill it. Oh boy, but they're attacking. That almost definitely means I have Titanic Growth. So... Also, Barbatterfist is horrible against the Watcher. I could get them to burn their Titanic Growth here, and maybe that's just worth it. I think it probably is. Come on, mouse. You can do this. I mean, we'll take the 1-for-1. Or if it's the uncommon Tyvar's Stand, that works too. Yeah. We're okay with it. I would say it's a little more than half a card, but you're right, it's not 100% of a card. It's like 80% of a card, I would say, is what they dealt with. Man. Good news is, I think that means we'll kill Evolving Adaptive here. Yep. Get out of here. And we can even attack because they can only do so much damage. I think I actually equipped the Batter Fist here. Yeah. Not much that they can have in blue-green that gets better because we give this 3 toughness. So... yeah, they're in a surprisingly bad spot, mostly because of Bloated Contaminator. Well, they really wanted to draw what they scryed. Man, this will be like the second time we've had to play an Oil Gorger Troll off of, without any oil in play, which is kind of a bummer. We certainly have enough oil that these things should be triggering more, but the good news is just playing big creatures is working out. So, so fine with me, I guess. Yeah, that doesn't really hurt our feelings that much. I mean, another body could have been nice, I guess, but... they really need to find a creature. And they didn't, because they bottomed. Okay, they found one, but it's not enough. The Bloated Contaminator continues its important work while we draw another land. But luckily our opponent's not drawing super well either, even with all the scries. Can you imagine if we just drew, like, something that makes oil counters? Like, anything that makes oil counters? I mean, like, we'd have proliferated a bunch and been in really great shape. And maybe the Contaminator will just carry the day here, but it does feel like I'm going to need one more thing, you know? Of course, maybe not if they draw as badly as we do. I think they can deal with it, finally. Oh, not only can they deal with it, they stole it and made a copy. Yeah, that's what they needed to do. So the good news is... I control the Batter Fist, and we definitely leave it on that so we can try and trade, but we're in serious trouble now. We really needed to draw something else there to help us pressure our opponent, and we just couldn't do it. Like, you know, an incubation sack 4 turns ago. I guess they did blow one up. I'm gonna need to draw something pretty good here. I wonder if I was just supposed to... well, that is actually pretty good. I wonder if I was just supposed to take that a minute ago. I think we just do it now, because the chances that they draw another card that does something is significant, so... gets them up to 7 poison. Not that it matters. Our only card that poisons is now in the graveyard, so... God! Are you serious right now? We've seen back-to-back, like, insane bombs out of our opponent, which certainly makes it harder for us to win. Not impossible, but... hard. Now an Evolving Adaptive is in the mix. Goodness. Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna do this. Yeah. We've got to block it. They'll do it with a weak creature that doesn't do anything anymore. No surprise there. My mouse is trying to die on me. Wonder turn. If I can find a way to win this game despite the complete nonsense of the Zenith followed by Thrun, like, I'll feel pretty happy, but it is a bit of an uphill battle. Especially if that's what I'm gonna draw. I guess I just attack with both of them. Yeah. That is what I do. And I probably want to do it with them both as 3/3s. Yeah. And then we're going to have to leave back the Steward to block. Let's attack with both 3/3s. We've drawn very poorly in this game. I mean, our opponent did too, but then when they finally started drawing real things, they drew really real things. You know, Thrun having Trample does make it a lot less desirable to block to begin with. Yeah, if they have a trick, we're dead. Let's hope they don't. Oh, thank goodness. I think we're going to win this one despite despite the double bomb. He doesn't have protection from that. That was a scary game. I don't think there are very many games where you beat your opponent playing the Zenith. It's not even a Zenith, is it? It's Twilight. They're Twilights. Twilight plus Thrun, but we did it there. We drew... kind of like they did. We drew pretty poorly, but then we drew... like, that was the best card in our deck to draw, basically. So... I'm glad you're enjoying it, watching it go well. I guess my streams so far in this format, other than the early access, haven't gone super well. I've had a lot of, like, 4 and 3s, which is, like, you know, a thing, but... Alright, this is a nice hand. Yeah, being able to deal with the Contaminators right away was crucial as well. Yeah, we drew... It was a weird game for both of us, because we drew, like, either we drew lands or we drew incredibly relevant cards. That was, like, the options that we had in that game. If I draw an oil counter payoff, I'm going to want the Steward in play. But, yeah, so we'll just play the Steward. It's also good with Cacophony Scamp. Zenith Chronicler. Well. Okay, I think... trying to decide if I just want to play Bard Batterfist and shock the Chronicler and attack for 2. That may just be our best option. And by shock, I mean equip Cacophony Scamp. It does do nothing most of the time. We do have 2 multicolored cards, but it is a pretty good blocker right here. We don't have, you know, great attacks no matter what we do. And if I shock it out of the way and hold on to 2/2/2s, I think I like that a little bit better. It's even good against our trick here, which is annoying. Yeah, I guess just playing the sack. I mean, they're very likely to block the Scamp anyway, so that might just be better. Yeah, let's just go that route. They know we don't have a trick now, but if they don't block the Scamp, I sack it anyway and proliferate. Okay. Or they take the damage and kill the other creature, which is also fine, I think. You know, I would like to draw some mana. I do think we attack here. With Free from Flesh in our hand, we're in, like, a pretty good spot to attack. Now we have another oil counter thing, too, for other things. Okay, I like that they're not playing anything real this turn. Alright, well... Kuldotha Cackler. We're in great shape if we ever draw that fourth land. We either crank out a bunch of golems or play a Cinder Slash Ravager. Okay. I probably just attack with both of these. Yeah. Works for me. And then I think... would I rather play the Ravager or just crank out a Golem token here? Interesting decision. I mean, if they destroy one of my oil counter things, I'll suddenly not be able to play the Ravager, and the Ravager is just a big body here. I think we probably just play the Ravager. Well, that does get a free equip. They've got a planar disruption, okay. That's fun. Yeah, there's some interesting things I can do here. Definitely attacking with Kuldotha Cackler. And I may as well buff it. Although, that does open it up to Hexgold Slash, so... maybe not. In my second main phase, I may equip Cacophony Scamp and shock it, and then Urabrask's Anointer... yeah. That's probably where we go, if they just take this. Because we kind of have to deal with Kemba. Uh-oh. Okay, they don't have a trick, thank goodness. Now we do just crank out a Golem. End our turn. Well, that is definitely something we kill by equipping Cacophony Scamp. We don't want them to gain the life. Oh, I could just play the Anointer, though. Yeah, that's better. I missed out on a damage there. Let's hope it doesn't come back to bite me. I don't think it will. It would take a lot. Well, that was a good draw. Yeah, it was like pretty much lethal anyway, but... Oh, yeah, if we equipped it and then... I guess we only had 1 mana available, though. So we couldn't have equipped it twice. Or maybe we only needed to equip it once, is what you're saying. Do 2 to them, yeah. You are correct. Can we get to 7 wins? Right, looks fine. None of our really exciting cards in our hand, but solid curve out and stuff, so. Rustvine Cultivator. God, it's annoying when you draw your 1-drop on turn 2. Value of playing something that has an oil counter that can attack. I guess it can attack better here, too, because it doesn't trade, so. I don't love having the blast in my opening hand. That is one bummer about it. Like, it's pretty mediocre as an opening hand kind of card. I think we attack here if they want to trade. I don't imagine they will because of all the tricks in the format, but if they do, we're okay with it. And then we play our Vorak to hit a 4th land. Looks like the mirror here. Missing out on cultivators is a bummer, but this deck has done pretty well without them, obviously. Okay. So I could just make this a 5/5 and attack. And then play Incubation Sac. I don't hate that. Means I can play my Ravager next turn. It does mean they can hit us, but it's a pretty good attack overall. I think that is probably what I do here. Let's make sure our green mana stays up and the auto tapper doesn't do something dumb. Like, if they want to double block to take that down, we're down with it. And if they don't, we're dangerously close to just being able to hazardous blast them out, which is crazy, but that's what the card does. Play an X1. Play 2 of them. Well, that doesn't really count. Yeah, they can attack us hard here if they want to. And they do want to, and I think they should. I think that is the right thing to do. If they have their own hazardous blast now, we're in trouble. I can tell you that much. Interesting. So I could play Furnace Strider now to set up the haste next turn. I feel like just killing a 1/1 is pretty good, and it's a body that's a serious problem. 3, 6, 7, 9, 10. So here's the thing. If they have Hazardous Blast, we're kind of dead anyway. So I almost think it's worth attacking here. Now, they could play their own haste creature, but we're still going to play Cinder/Ravager in our second main phase. So... yeah, let's just play the Ravager, and I think we just attack for 5 and hope we can kill them on... we can win off of our Hazardous Blast next turn before they can win off of their own. That's what we're talking about. Oh yeah, they do get 1 counter there. Shoot. This is a pretty scary spot for Forgehammer Centurion. It's still not enough to do lethal, though, so I think we just attack, and if they want to block and get a counter... and then attack us, then that's fine. Ooh. Free from Flesh wouldn't be great. Well, the creature still dies, actually. They go to 11, though, which is no longer Hazardous Blast territory. Do you have a haste creature? If you do, I'm dead. If you don't, maybe we're okay. Looks like kind of good news. I mean, they didn't have a great attack that was super obvious. You do have your own... So I think we probably... Do we want to Infectious Bite the Mantis and play Barbed Batterfist? It's probably our best bet. And attack them for 5 here. Yeah, I mean, I could just play Furnace Strider and they're forced to... But I need to be more defensive here than basically we've had to be all day. But I think we have to do it. Yeah. Vigilance is big here. You get 1 poison counter. So we get a 3rd body. Don't draw your Hazardous Blast. Assuming they have one. Okay, Incubation Sac. If your plan is Incubation Sac, make a token, we win. Nice. Hazardous Blast. How many games has Hazardous Blast won us? The answer is a lot. That's just what it does. Hello, 40 Taco. Welcome to the stream. Also, thank you for the follows. Our hero, band of Beebles, Carrier Rush, and Antonio Ravioli. 7-win deck. I mean, this deck was nuts when we drafted it. Like, if Red-Green's open, it's the best deck in the format, and it was open. Which, like I said at the beginning, like, haven't seen a whole lot of that over the last week, as everyone has realized it's the best, but we got it.